Hello and welcome to Will Waffle. It's been a little while, so I have absolutely tons of things to talk about. Tons and tons. So I'm going to go over what I've been reading and listening to and writing. I'm going to talk about some of the stuff I've been watching. There's too much to go over everything. In other nerdy stuff, I'm going to talk about Lawless, which was last weekend. And then I'm going to talk about knitting right at the end, so that you can skip it if it's not your cup of tea. Madness, if you ask me, but you know, your choice and I don't judge much. To your face. So yes, it's the first time watching. I'm Stacey Whittle. I'm a comics writer and a library assistant and a giant nerd, and I'm very comfortable with that, thank you. So let's get into it. We're going to start with what I've been reading, and it's quite a bit. So I've got a massive pile here next to us, which I'm going to try and get through. So the first thing I've been reading is this. It's probably backwards. Can't do anything about that. This is The Bogeyman by Alan Grant, John Wagner and Robin Smith. This is the Kickstarted version that the guys did recently. I already have another copy of it, actually, an older copy, but this one's got some new stuff in it, and if you haven't got it, I don't know if you can still get it. I hope you can, because it's absolutely laugh out loud, hilariously funny. The artwork is absolutely incredible. Just any random page is something absolutely fantastic to look at. And I've been really enjoying revisiting this, and I can't recommend it enough. So yes, the Kickstarter is over now. I don't know if you can still buy it. I mean, I think I got a print with mine, and there was different tiers and that sort of stuff, but if you can get a hold of a copy, you should. It's outstanding. So that's one thing. I don't know where I'm going to put the stuff that I've read. All right, okay, I'll put it here. After I got back from Lawless, before I went to Lawless, I should put stuff in some sort of big order. I picked up these. This is Thistleborn by Tom Eglinton, or T.C. Eglinton, and Simon Davis, and it's a folk horror story that was originally in 2000 AD, and there's another part to come, I think, that hasn't been collected yet. And I pulled these out because I meant to take them with us to Lawless to get signed, and I forgot, because that's how I roll. But absolutely incredible. Loving these. I'm not going to talk too much about it. It's, do you know, I'm kind of obsessed with cults, and there's a culty element, and I like that. So there, I told you it was going to be fast. While I was at Lawless, I got this from Wigs. Thank you, Wigs, for bringing this for me, and I've been really enjoying it. Can you see I'm using the post-it that Wigs had my name on as a as a bookmark. I'm really enjoying revisiting this. I did a panel with John Wagner and Brian Bulland and Mick McMahon, and we're talking about this, and so then I wanted to read it again, and so that's what I'm doing, and I'm really enjoying it. It's very funny. Artwork is amazing, and I've been enjoying hanging out with the old judges again. It's been nice. It's been a while since I read 2000 AD and Judge Dredd, and I've enjoyed coming back to it very much. So there's that. I was also inspired again at Lawless to resubscribe to 2000 AD, so I've read these two. Latest progs. However, I'm not going to talk about them because they're all series that are part way through, and I'm trying to wrap my head around them, so I don't think it's a very good idea to do any sort of review when you're not sure what the fuck's going on. That's just my own personal opinion. However, I enjoyed it. Nick Percival artwork is so bloody creepy in the look at that. It's so creepy. It's so creepy. It's really good. It's really good. Very creepy. So I enjoyed that too. and this was my subscription gift, but I haven't read this yet. The Cam Kennedy collection. So I am looking forward to reading that though. But that is, there's been a lot. There's been a lot. The other thing that I bought when I got back from Lawless, I bought nothing when I was there because I was so busy. I didn't have 2 minutes. I didn't buy anything at all. But I did buy this when I got back. This is a very British affair, the best of classic romance comics, put together by David Roach. I interviewed David Roach at the weekend. I'll talk about that later. And he also had an amazing exhibition, which I also will talk about later. And that's why I bought that. I already own his Masters of British Comics, and I don't know why I didn't pick this one up, but now I have, and I'm really, really glad to have it. And it's beautiful. And there's a lot of female artists featured in here, which is quite exciting. So obviously this only came yesterday or the day before, a couple of days ago, so I'm not all the way through it, but I'm really, really, really enjoying it, and I don't want to just blast through it, so I'm going to take my time and enjoy it. So that's the comics part. There's also been some books, and from looking down, it's because I've got a flipping list. I had to make one because, haha, menopause. And my memory, they're a joy. So, I recently read, I re-downloaded to my phone the BorrowBox app. If you don't know what that is, your public library will subscribe to something like BorrowBox or Libby, which is an app for public libraries to use, so that allow you to borrow ebooks and audiobooks, which is really cool, which means you don't have to go to the library. You can just, I mean, why wouldn't you want to go to the library? I mean, I do it for a day job and I still like going to the library. It's a different sort of library. But I like ebooks. I read them a lot. So there you go. I picked up The Last Seance by Agatha Christie, which is a collection of her short stories, but they were all ones with a sort of creepy edge or a supernatural edge. And I'd read, I think, all of them before. But it was nice, like, having them all together because it created an atmosphere. And I enjoyed wallowing in the creepy place. I have a bit of a creepy thing going on at the minute. I mean, I'm a creepy king. No, I'm not a creepy king. No, I'm not. Don't usually like creepy things, but I'm going down this alley and I'm enjoying it, so I'm just going to keep going down there. So I read that and I really enjoyed it. I read The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. Jones. I don't know what I've written down there. Something like that. And I really liked this one. So what it was about a woman who was like a true crime blogger and gets sucked into investigating a real life cold case in a town. And it had some interesting side plots and things. And I really liked it. I liked the side plots, and I liked the main plot, and I liked the characters. I'm not sure I loved the ending and where it went, but I enjoyed it overall, and I read it really quickly. I think I read it in a day, so I obviously was liking that. The Cold Case was set in 1977, and I like things that are about 1977 because that's the year I was born, and I get all, oh, 1977. I am still on my Louise penny kick, the Almond Gamache series, and read number 16, which was called All the Devils Are Here. All the Devils Are Here. And it wasn't my favourite. It was set in Paris, and it wasn't my favourite. Oh, sorry, I just wobbled the camera. Sorry. I'm expressive with my hands. It wasn't my favourite, but I enjoyed it because I enjoy all of them, and I have started the next one, which is number 17, which is called The Madness of Crowds, and I'm liking that one loads better. And part of why I'm liking that loads better is it's very similar to the first ones, I think. So the original team of Jean-Guy and Isabel and Armand Gamache are all back together, and I like that. It's nice. So it's like harken back to what it was, because it's 17 books. It's been on a journey, but I'm enjoying this one loads better than the one before, which I found just all right, but still good, like enjoyable, and then not bad, but not as good as some of the other ones have been. What else am I reading? Oh, I'm currently listening to The Devil You Know by Mike Carey, which I've read umpteen times. It's the first Felix Castor book, and I've read the most recent one recently, and I can't remember if I talked about that last time, and I think I probably did, but after a long period with no new books coming out, and that series ending sort of midway through and not closed, it's not finished, finally a novella came out, and I just loved being back in that world. So I thought, oh, I know, I'll get the audiobooks, and then I can listen to them while I'm knitting or whatever and commuting. But right, I don't like the narrator. He's called Michael Kramer, and I've heard him narrate other books, and I liked him when he narrated those other books. And I think what the problem is, he's American. I think he's American, and he's doing an English accent. It's like a generic English accent. I'm kind of glad he didn't attempt the Scouse, because I think Felix is supposed to be from Liverpool. I'm glad he hasn't attempted the Scouse. But his accent is okay, but then occasionally he'll say something and it's just not, and it's so jarring. For example, he doesn't say Felix Castor, he says Castor, and that's weird. And the other thing he'll say is arse, not arse. You're an arse. He'll say arse, and it's so weird, and it's so jarring, and there's just odd words that are just so not the correct pronunciation. And when he's in a period where like the accent's okay and it's steady, you can let it go a bit, and then there'll be one of these words that are just pronounced incorrectly, and it just pulls you right out of the story. I have got crazy nighty flicky hair today because I went to bed with my hair wet, and I cannot tame it. Sorry, it's just irritating us in the camera. So yeah, I'm struggling with it a little bit, and also I have bought the next one already, so I will listen to it, and maybe I'll stop getting cross about it, but it's not cross, it's just jarring. And I think when you're reading, whether you're listening to a book, whether you're watching something on telly or you're reading something, it's like an immersive experience, and so when something pulls you out, it feels problematic or irritating or whatever. So there's that, and I think that's everything. I'm trying to like whoosh so that this isn't like 7 years long. I don't know why I care. I'm only going to show you one thing that I've been writing. This was the latest month's. The new one is coming out on Wednesday. This is last month's Monster Fun, and the gums in this one is my favourite one that I've written, apart from the Jodie Orcas, which I think I talked about last time. If I didn't, love the Jodie Orcas, but this gum strip is my favourite one that I've written, and it was I enjoyed writing it, I enjoyed the response from my editor, I enjoyed seeing it. It made us so happy because it looked even better than I imagined it would, and to me it's just like the most perfect thing. However, my 6-year-old read it and said that it was the worst thing she'd ever read, and she never ever wanted to read it again or ever see it. So if you want to read the worst comic strip that my 6-year-old has ever read in her whole life, you've still got time to pick this up if you go today. However, I love it. I think it's really good. just in case you're ever thinking about maybe getting a little bit of an ego, find a small child to put you in your place, I think is the thing to do. So that's everything that I've been reading. It's not everything I've been writing, but I just wanted to show that one thing and also tell you the story about my kiddo because I find it hilarious. And I was telling someone, like, oh, that's awful, are you alright? And I'm like, it's the funniest thing. I think it's so funny. Right, what I've been watching. So some of this stuff is quite a few months ago now, so I'm not going to talk about it in depth because I can't remember, is the honest answer. But I've obviously wanted to talk about them a little bit because I made a note of them, and so, you know. The first thing is I watched The Murder at the End of the World, which stars Clive Owens amongst other people. And I really enjoyed that. It was very different. I liked, it's going to sound similar to the book I was talking about, but it isn't really. It follows a young woman who in her youth, in her extreme youth, tried to find a killer, a serial killer as well. And she wrote a book about it, and then what the series starts with her introducing her book that she wrote about her lived experiences, and then she's invited by a tech giant to come and stay in the middle of nowhere in like Iceland or the Arctic or something for a weekend's conference because they've been so impressed by her book, and she's a person to watch, sort of thing. And then shenanigans ensue. And I liked how I find it interesting when things are set in a small enclosed claustrophobic space and then everything's set in there, and I think it's part of the like enduring reason why Murder on the Orient Express stands up still, because it's set on that train which can't move and they can't leave it, and it has that claustrophobic thing, and nobody can get away, nobody can escape, no one can escape the killer, no one can escape Poirot. It's like it brings an intensity having that, and Agatha Christie used it a lot. She did it on Death on the Nile as well, where they were all on a boat. But this was interesting because it was sort of like away, and they're sort of locked in not just by the place but the weather, and I really enjoyed it. I don't think it was entirely problem free. There was a couple of things where I thought, oh, I don't know about that, or that's ridiculous, people don't behave like that. There was a few moments like that, but Clive Owens was always worth watching, and he has an intensity about him. I always thought he should play Johnny Alpha, but I don't know, I think he's too old. I think it should be Oscar Isaacs now. I think would be a really good Johnny Alpha. But yes, if you haven't watched it, I think, and you're looking for something to watch, then I think it is worth a look. The next one I think I might have talked briefly about last time was Yellowjackets, which has got 2 series out and they're making the 3rd at the moment. It has an excellent cast. It has Melanie Linsky, who I fancy. It has Juliette Lewis, Christina Ricci. It has fucking Frodo, man, Elijah Wood, who's very good in it. The basic premise is it's set between 2 timelines. There's the 90s, where a group of teenagers are going on a sports thing and their plane crashes and they get trapped there for 9 months. And then the other stream is them now in their late 40s, early 50s, and what's happened to them. And then as the series goes by, you find out more and more about what happened to them in the plane crash and what their lives are like now, and that. And it's got a supernatural element somewhat woven in, but it's not really clear. It's by the people who made No, it's not. That's the other one I'm going to talk about. That's the other one. That's not this one. That would be too much on the nose, wouldn't it? Another plane crash. The cast is exceptional. The actresses that are playing younger versions of the older actresses are amazing. It's like hard to believe that they're not their younger selves. They're that good. The acting is incredible. The soundtrack's incredible. I think one of the other things that really makes it work for me as well is that I'm the same age group as the older cast, and I was the same age in the 90s that they are portraying. So therefore the soundtrack is the soundtrack of my life, and I can recognize a lot of my younger self in their younger selves, and I can recognize some of me now in their older selves, and I like that a lot. There's a creepy vibe. There's also quite a disturbing element to it, like really, really disturbing. Like I had nightmares, but I couldn't stop watching it. Disturbing. And I can't tell you about that bit because it would be like the most epic spoiler. But if you've watched it, you know what I mean. So sometimes, like, I can only watch one episode of that at a time because it can be hard going. It could be like funny and engaging and sad, but then also disturbing and twisted and insane, all wrapped up beautifully presented in a cohesive manner that I just thought was it's just addictive television. It's addictive, and I was like glad for it to finish because I needed an emotional break. But like I'm missing them, I'm missing those characters, and I'm missing finding out what's happened to them and what's going on with them. So I can't wait for series 2. I have had a few niggles with this one because nothing's perfect, is it? And one of them, I can't even talk about that without it really being spoilers. No, I think I can. In the second series, they introduced some new characters who we didn't see in the first series, and that seemed weird because we'd already seen everybody who was there, but then suddenly there was more people. So I didn't like that, and what it meant was I didn't warm to those characters at all because I felt like they shouldn't be there. And I'm very like that. Like I'm like, oh no, you could be the best character, the best written character in the whole world, but because I don't think you should be there, no, because I'm a dick. But anyway, so there was a couple of little niggly things, but overall, absolutely quality, exceptional telly, with a big edge, So that's that one, and then I'll talk about the other one that I got mixed up with a little bit there. I watched 2 series of From. My sister's so proud of me that I watched this because it's fucking scary. It's really scary, and this one is by the people who made Lost, and it doesn't have a plane crash in it. The cast on this is exceptional. Like Yellowjackets, we watched them one after the other, and we're like, Jesus, the quality of the acting in these 2 series is just like, it's amazing. And I didn't recognise any of the cast from except for, and I've forgotten to write any of their names down. One of the main characters who played August in Once Upon a Time, whose alter ego was Pinocchio. He was Pinocchio. I can't remember his name. I recognised him, and I recognised Harold Perrineau, I think his name is, but I couldn't remember when. I had to look it up afterwards, and now I've forgotten again. But he is an exceptional actor, and Liz Saunders, who I fancy rotten, playing Donna, who I something about that lady. This one is another one of those really like set in a small place and very claustrophobic, but with bells on, like the most claustrophobic thing. It is really scary. There's here be monsters, here be jump scares, here be tension, And it's the tension that I really can't cope with. I can't cope with it in any form. Like, so, you know, things like the comedy extras, like I'd get such bad tension waiting for them to say something stupid or awful that I'd get like stomach cramps and I can't watch it. So it's like, if it's a scary build-up tension, I'm not good. If it's a humour build-up tension, I'm not good. I can't. Tension, no, thank you. Not for me. I don't want it. However, there was something about this series, and even though it's really scary, and there was a couple of times I couldn't look at all, I had to hide. And I had to pace for one episode because I was so full of jangle. I can't wait for the next series. It's so good. It's so... They've been very good at writing you really caring about these characters very, very quickly. Also, kind of none of them are safe at any point. So it's really that difficult thing where you're becoming attached to characters that you who knows whether they're going to make it to the end of the series or even the end of the episode. So I like that. I'm really loving it, and I can't recommend that one highly enough. And if you do watch it, come back and talk to us about it, because I'd really like to know what you think. So that's that. I watched the first series of Dark Winds, which was produced by Robert Redford and J.R.R. Martin. Apparently Robert Redford was a big fan of the books and has worked really hard to try and get it on television in a good way, or there's the odd movie being made about it and things that didn't do very well. We only had the first series available to us on whatever streaming platform it was on, and there is more series, but we don't have access to them. But we watched the first one and I loved it. I absolutely loved this one. There's nothing supernatural or geeky about it. It is like an almost straight up crime, but it's set on a Native American reservation gosh, I can't remember if it was in the 70s as well. I think it might have been the 70s as well. And it's an almost entirely Native American cast, which is amazing. I loved so many things about it. I loved that it really, really shows the racism and disrespect people had for people in life on a reservation, and all of that stuff is shown quite brutally, but also just showing people's beliefs just as facts without trying to explain them. And I love that too. It's just like, no, we're not going to explain that. That's just the way it is. That's just a fact. And I loved that as well. I thought it was really well written, and I thought it was really well crafted, acted, produced. It looks beautiful, and I really wish we could get more of it, because I absolutely loved it, and the cast is another incredible cast there as well. So that's that one. We watched an absolutely mad series called Surreal Estate, which I fell madly in love with. Oh god, I've forgotten to write down any of the cast's names for this one as well, and some of them were familiar. I'd seen them in something else and I can't remember what. But basically what this is about an estate agency, or what they call a real estate in America, where they specialise in dealing with properties that are haunted essentially, and them having to sort of get those properties clear so they can sell them. And it's in places very funny, in places scary. I just love the premise. It's such a, why hasn't that been done before? It's brilliant. And they're also kind of in competition with other like real estate agencies, but who also do have to call them in occasionally when there's a creepy place that's they're having problems with. Oh, Liz Saunders was in an episode of that from. That's because that's where I recognised her from when I watched From. And we blasted through this in about like a week or something. I think there's 2 series again of that, and there's a 3rd one being made. And I absolutely loved it. Some of the storylines are arcing, and some of them are monster of the week type thing. I think if you like supernatural, you would like it. And and it's just fun. It's fun. So I really, really like that, and I really recommend that one. Again, can't remember any of the main actors in it because I'm shite. It's real estate. I watched a really strange little film. I can't write the actors down. I'm really, really shit at this podcast and malarkey on. It's been a while. I watched this really creepy little film on Prime when I had COVID recently called Regression. And if I try and tell you anything about it, it would ruin it. It was very atmospheric, and it was almost like watching somebody unravel, but she's a psychiatrist helping children. Some really well-known British actors in there. Oh, the only one I can remember off the top of my head is Rebecca Front is in it, a very small part in it, but she's in it from The Thick of It and other things. And it was so unusual and different, and the ending was a bit but I really enjoyed that. So if you're looking for something a little bit different, a little bit creepy, a little bit kind of reminded us of those like old like 50s films where there's like the Hitchcock, it felt a bit Hitchcockian. Yes, it felt like that. And I really liked it. So, but I literally can't tell you anything about that without ruining it. And I liked that I went into it without knowing anything about it. I was just scrolling. I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. I'll give that a try. I think it's one of those films I'm really glad I watched and I really enjoyed it, but I'll never watch it again. If that makes sense. So there's that. I'm just crossing these off so I know that I've talked about them. Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I am obsessed. I'm obsessed. So we're up to date with everything that's out. So I think it's 2 series. And we haven't watched the last episode because I don't want it to be over. So watched all of it except for the last episode because I'm not ready and to not have one left. Having one left is nice. I've still got that to watch, but I love it. I love everything about it. I love the cast. I love the costumes. I love the set. I love Carol fucking Kane. I love everything about it, and I need more, and I want it now. There was a musical episode. There was a crossover animated episode with Lower Decks. It is the best Star Trek. It might be the best Star Trek. I mean, if I had to pick always, I would pick Next Generation because that's the one that I grew up with. And it's such nostalgia. And I used to watch it with my family, all of us. So it has that, like, all of that attached to it. But I think this might be the best other Star Trek. It's that good. And I love Star Trek. And this might be the best Star Trek. I love it. What do you other Trekkies think? Is it the best Star Trek? I love it. So yes, I've still got the last episode to go. Oh, and I was like this, oh, musical episode, surely not. That's so like 2001, isn't it? Do you remember that phase? And there was a Buffy musical episode and there was a Xena musical episode. Everybody did a musical episode. I'm like, surely this is over. Oh, it's exceptional. It's so good. Oh, I want to watch it again. I might watch that again later. It's so good. That's all I've got to say about that. It's the best telly. And I've watched an awful lot of good telly recently. An awful lot. We've had a lot of ticks. Yes, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. But that is the best. Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And I know I'm really, really behind everyone. And my sister's been giving us rubbish about not watching it and being behind. But, oh, she was right. She often is. Fucking cow. And Doctor Who. Well, where to start? I didn't really like the first episode, the one with the space babies. It was alright. It was a bit... I wanted to like it. I wanted to love it. But I didn't. Although I think we'll all agree that I do need a nanny filter for this gob. And as much as I was excited for seeing Jinx Monsoon, who I thought was very, very, very good, and I love Jinx. They are incredible. I watched their series of RuPaul's Drag Race. I've watched their career, and I was really excited about it. And they are really excellent, but I didn't love that one either. And as much as I fancy Shirley Ballas, and it was really lovely to see her right at the end there, I didn't love the musical number. I just didn't. And I was starting to feel a bit like, oh, am I going to turn into one of those Who fans? You know, we all know which ones I mean. Am I that now? Have I turned? Am I watching something I don't like just to complain about it? And then there was the next one, the one with the ambulances, and that was much better, really much better. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really good. And then there was 73 yards. Outstanding. Outstanding. Like this is, I know it was a Dr. Light episode. Often the Dr. Light episodes are exceptional, like Blink. That's a Dr. Light episode, and I kind of think it maybe had somewhat of a same feeling of that, actually. You know, the well, she wasn't even a companion in Blink, the girl on her own having to figure out the puzzle. But I loved all the little nods in there. I loved the nod, a definite nod to American Werewolf in London, in that little pub scene. Did actually look for Rick Mail, even though he's gone, God bless him. I fancy him as well, you know. There's that moment in Drop Dead Fred, isn't there? You know, right at the end when he's saying goodbye to her, and he says, "Just look at us and kiss me." Say, Drop Dead Fred. There's nobody in the history of existence has been more attractive than Rick Mail in that moment. Nobody. Feel a little bit emotional now. Oh, that bit. Oh. Anyway, 73 yards. Millie's absolutely incredible and so young to carry off playing that age in. And although it's not perfect, I think it was good enough and enough to get the point across, the passage of time, and having to be so very alone, and the horror of thinking about, oh sorry, this is going to be full of spoilers if you haven't seen this one. We're halfway through it now, sorry, spoilers. The horror of what on earth the woman could possibly be saying to people. Think about that for a second. Like, I don't want to know, and I think it would ruin it to be told, because whatever you think about in your own head will definitely be more scary, and I think that's kind of the point. Just think, what on earth could that be? The horror of that. Absolutely fantastic telly, absolutely fantastic Doctor Who. I loved it. I just watched Dot and Bubble last night, and yeah, I'm not sure if I'm ready to talk about it properly yet, because obviously there's a lot to digest with that one, and a lot of themes there that I don't, you know, as a middle-aged white female, I don't feel completely comfortable like opinionating about. But it was intense and well done. And one of the criticisms that I did read was like, because this is going to be full of spoilers as well, what was the point of the slug things if the dots could kill them anyway? And I did see the point of that, because if they could have just all killed them all instantly, which obviously they could, there was no punishment there, there was no fear, there was no them becoming scared or aware, and so I could kind of see the point of them. I'm not sure they looked amazingly brilliant, to be honest with you, but they had some brilliant moments of tension trying to get them to walk past, trying to get the girl to walk past them, and struggling with that because she's always been told exactly how to move and couldn't do it for herself. Absolute turning point at the end where that was, oh, And it looked incredible as well. It really did look incredible. So yeah, I think we're back, like this is like the last 2 episodes, last 2.5, like the last 3 episodes maybe have been much more what I was hoping for and expecting. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching the next one. Doctor Who. I also have been obsessed. I've mentioned lots of times that I have a slight obsession with cults. I find them fascinating, and how people get caught into them, and what lengths people will go to. And in that vein, I have been watching the real life trial of Chad Daybell, an American man who seems like he could have been the head of a cult and did some really terrible things and murdered several people. And I've watched his entire 6-week trial because I do tend to get, I think it's a thing about being a nerd, isn't it? We tend to get a little bit obsessive, she says, pointing at the reams of shit in the background. We tend to get a little bit obsessive, and I think it's in our natures. So yes, I've watched all of the footage of Chad Daybell's trial, and I've also watched some YouTube people discussing it and interviewing people around it. And if you are interested in true crime podcasty things or law related podcasty things, then I would really recommend The Lawyer You Know on YouTube. I would recommend Lawyer Lee, who is fantastic. Hidden True Crimes, I think it's definitely more like the other two are actual lawyers and they give you like factual things, whereas the Hidden True Crimes is more what like I would think about stuff going on, like your everyday person. So there's a woman who reports, and her husband is a forensic psychologist, so you get the double bill of what he thinks on their behaviour and what they've said and what she thinks as an ordinary person. So I've enjoyed all of their coverage, and particularly Nate Eaton, who is a reporter from East Idaho News, who has been in the courtroom for the whole trial and given information about that, and he's been exceptional. It took me ages to track down Nate Eaton because the way the Americans were referring to him, they were saying that I thought they were saying Nadine, like, and Nadine has been reporting for this, and Nadine, and I'm thinking, how do I not know who this Nadine is? No, it's Nate Eaton. And so I've enjoyed is not quite the right word. I've been fascinated by all of this coverage, and I've watched them all. So if you are looking for anything like that, these are they cover all sorts of things. Like they covered the 8 passengers stuff and the Karen Reid trial that's going on and all of that sort of stuff. The Lawyer You Know, Lawyer Lee and Emily Baker all have been covering the Rust trial as well, the Alec Baldwin one. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, I would recommend these people. They're great. I think that's finally at the end of stuff I've been watching. There's more stuff, but I think that's enough. Well, like usually at the end now, I'm gonna have a sleep. And I've still got nerdy stuff and knitting to talk about. So I'm going to talk about Lawless now, but other nerdy stuff. Lawless was held last weekend in Bristol at the Doubletree Hilton, which has been the home of comic conventions for years and years and years. In fact, I said to lovely Jim Campbell, oh, I'll see you in the Ramada bar, something like that, because that's what the hotel used to be called back in the day, and I'm old and I forget things. So it was Saturday and Sunday. I arrived late Friday night. I got to meet up with some brilliant old friends and see some people I hadn't seen for, I think Matt Timpson, I haven't seen you for about 10 years, and it was amazing to see you and hang out with you and catch up. Incredible. All the usual suspects were there. I'm not going to go through and name everybody's names because I'll forget somebody and then I'll make someone feel sad, or I'll feel sad that I've forgotten them. But one of my favourite parts of the whole day is I help out, and Wendy, me and Iz run the desk with Zoe helping us with the goodie bags, and Mark Lamb, Mark Eastley, the Labelles and Angie will all be there at the beginning with Sue and Andy, waiting, sorting out, getting the desk ready, getting all of the passes ready and sorted, and prepping for people to come in, and then Paul and Felicity do the tombola. Mark and I do the goodie bags and getting everybody their badges or their armbands or whatever. And we've done it the last 3 years, and it's one of the joys for me saying hello to every single person as they come in. And I just love that bit. That it's like the exciting bit. I really love it. I love spending time with those people who have done it every year for the last 3 years, and then saying hello to everybody and welcoming them in. And that was, I love that bit, and I will always do that bit if Sue lets me, because I just enjoy it. I also this year did the first panel of the day, which meant I got to interview John Wagner, Brian Bolland and Mick McMahon. The video for that is up on my channel already. It's missing the first 5 minutes of audio. I don't know why. If I can get a copy of the video from John Burtis, who was there and recording it, I will, and then update it. But at the moment, thank you to the lovely Joanne Alexander for letting me steal her videos. I really loved that panel. I thought it was fun. It was talking about the creation of Judge Death and other. It had friends written in the programme. I misread it as fiends. So it's mostly talking about villains created by John, Mick and Brian. So we talked about the Angel Gang and Mean Machine and Judge Death and all of the sort of early stuff. We did, and the room was really full and round the edges and everything, so I started questions from the audience really early because I think that people want to ask their questions and they should get the chance to. So we did that, and then right at the end the panel ended with a load of the cosplaying judges coming in and flashing the panel first, and so that I don't know even if you can hear it on the panel, like I was crying laughing, and they all had Lawless 10 written across their crotches. And then they turned around and flashed the audience as well. And we had 5 minutes of the panel left, and I was like, it's pointless, wasted time. We'll just call it. So that was really fun. What else did we do on the first day? Also, I did another panel straight after that one. We'd spotted that Robbie Morrison was there, and he was in the panel room, so I was like, do you want to really get up and be on the writers panel? We did a writers panel next, which we called On the Right Track. It had Robbie Morrison, Mike Carroll, Ian Edgerton and Rob Williams, and I really personally enjoyed that one, and that is also up on my channel if you're interested. Watch the updated one, because the fantastic Steve Green has really cleaned up the audio on that, and it sounds so much better. And I just think it's a great panel, because it's not only has writers talking about their experience of being writers and what it entails, but loads of hints and tips if you are a writer and you know, looking to get started. There's some really good information there, and I really loved doing it. It was really fun. And then I had about an hour off to rush around, see friends, hang out with Ben, and see PJ for the first time in a long time as well. It was really nice to see PJ, and that was the only sketch I managed to get all weekend. It's rubbish, so I got a sketch from PJ, and then I went to have a look around the exhibition. So the exhibition by David Roach was incredible. It was an exhibition of some of the original artwork that he owns, and there was a massive variety. There was some of the romance paint like artwork, there was some Mick McMahon, there was some Carlos Esquerra, there was some what really I found fascinating was that he had some Bellardinelli, had from Flesh, which was just so incredible. I couldn't get enough. I went back about 3 times just to look at that double page spread he had. That was just incredible. There was a beautiful page that I was just couldn't stop looking at, and my friend Filippo Roncan managed to figure out that it was Jesus Blasco, and who I'm a big fan of anyway, and to see some of his artwork, the original work, and the ink, it was really exciting and really inspiring, and actually quite emotional. I think there's something about seeing artwork like that that it is emotional. And I got to have a nice chat with David Roach, and he showed me his favourite pieces, what his favourite pieces were, what other people's favourite pieces were, coming in and looking around, giving us some history about some stuff and some of the artists, and it was just so interesting and incredible. And he had some of his own artwork there as well, and he just draws the most amazing, beautiful ladies in the whole world, and no one can touch him in my opinion on that. He's just exceptional. So seeing some of his own artwork as well was just incredible. And then after that, I did actually do an interview with David Roach, and I didn't manage to record that. I meant to, but I didn't manage it. And I'm so sad, because I have to be honest, this is one of the most, I've done a lot of panels in the last 15 years. I've interviewed some amazing people, and they're all special in their own ways. And I have some that stand out for good reasons, and I have some that stand out for bad reasons. And this talk went to the, like, one of my favourite ones that I've done. I think it was quite, I tried to work out how to, like, write questions and organise a panel for this one. And then I thought, you know, I don't want to do that. I think it'd be nicer just to have a chat. And so that's what we did. I didn't have any questions prepped. I just thought I'm just going to ask him what I want to know, because if I want to know as a geeky girl, then the rest of the room will probably want to know too. And that's what we did. And it was really relaxed and very kind of like an intimate, warm chat that I kept forgetting the rest of the room was there. It was just, I'm so sad it wasn't recorded. So if you weren't there, I think you did miss something special. And hearing David talk about growing up as a comic fan, what he finds appealing about art, what interests him about art, what makes him want to collect art, why he doesn't frame his art, and all of this stuff for nerds, it was just fantastic. It was a really highlight of my whole weekend. Yeah, really enjoyed that. And I think that'd be my last panel of the day for the Saturday. And so we went to get ready, because there was a VIP party in the evening, which was a black tie event if you wanted to. So nobody was forced to get dressed up. But most people did, and then they just looked so smart. Mick McMahon in his suit with his Daffy Duck tie, beautiful. And seeing everybody really dressed up was lovely. My convention husband Mark Lamb in his dinner suit, well looked very nice indeed. Everybody looked lovely though. It was really lovely. There was an award ceremony, and another highlight there was when John Wagner won an award, and the whole room erupted, and then everybody stood up while he walked to the front. It was really spontaneous, and that was really emotional. It was quite an emotional weekend, actually. It was really fabulous. And the same thing happened when Mick McMahon and Brian Bolland won awards as well. Everybody just spontaneously stood up and cheered, and it was just it was really beautiful. It was really beautiful. And my lovely friend Joanne won an award for cosplay, and I think should have won another award for the best acceptance speech ever. Filth. It was brilliant. And if you're on Facebook, I think it is being filmed, and it is in the Lawless group on Facebook, so you can be able to go. I strongly recommend that you do. It was genius. That was all lovely. And then my really good friend Sally Hurst sang for the last bit. She did an 80s night, and we had about an hour of 80s music, and we all danced. And it was just gorgeous. It was really lovely. And then back to the bar till 2 a.m. You know, it was just a fantastic night. What a wonderful weekend. Sunday was a shorter day. It finished at 3. I went to see a panel, which was quite nice not to be hosting one, which was the I like big bots and I cannot lie, which was a panel about robots in comics with John Wagner, Rob Williams, Piper, Mick McMahon and Brian Bolland, I think. And the panel were excellent and very funny. And my favourite part was a John Wagner story about his Hoover. I don't know if that was recorded. I'll have to find out. It was, but it was good. And then Iz and I did a 2000 AD panel, the Art of 2000 AD, and it's the first panel that we've done together. We used to do them all the time. We used to, every convention we went to, and we went to a lot back then, we used to do panels together. And this was the first one since I was pregnant with Ari, and Ari's 6. So it was 7 years, and it was fantastic. I loved it. Didn't record that one either, which is a shame because it was excellent. We had Piper, we had John McCrae, we had, who else did we have? We had Connor Boyle, we had Mike Collins, and we had the lovely Ben Wilshire. So that was really fun. And it was really nice to be stood up there with Iz again, and it was really nice to see our friend Connor Boyle up there. That was really nice. And then basically it was the end of the day, and as we were all packing up, everyone was packing up and running around, look, the lovely Ben Cullis, who also looked very nice in his dinner jacket, I have to say, in the night time, give me this. I don't know if you can see it. There's a tiny little Lego minifigure of Judge Dredd, and there was, in the trader room, which I didn't even get a good look around, I was so busy, they had a Lawmaster made out of Lego, which was incredible, and you could actually sit on it, and some other brilliant Lego creations. Anyway, I think the guy gave these out, and I'm very happy to have it. And some people didn't get one, and were very cross with me that I got one, but I did, and I'm not. It's mine forever. It's going on my Dread shelf, which is over here. You can't quite see it, but it's going on my Dread shelf, and I'm really happy to have it. And that was Lawless over, and I've had the worst post-con blues I've had in the longest time. Like, really, it was one thing that was lovely this year for the first year, because I had company at the airport. I had Mark and Joanne and Graham, and so I had company at the airport, which made the delays that we all had go much faster, and I was glad of it. But I did feel super sad leaving, like quite like tearful, and I haven't had that for a long time, and I have been like really quite like, just miss my friends. I've been a bit down in the dumps this week. I have. It was, and I think that is actually the sign of an exceptional weekend, is when you kind of go into mourning for it because it's over. So counting down to the next one. I think the next convention I'm doing will be in September. I'm going to Acme Comic Con in Glasgow with Isabel. So if you're going to be there, let us know so I can say hello. That is other nerdy stuff. I've got quite a bit of knitting as well, so we'll try and blast through that. I've got a finished thing first. I knit this really, really quickly. It is a little crop top. The colour, the yarn is Temporal Spin yarn, and she's based in Wales, and she dyes mostly nerdy related yarn. So this is her merino silk sock, 100 grams for 400 meters, 50% superwash merino and 50% silk, and it feels incredible. It's and the drape on it because of the silk, but because it was only 400 meters, I thought it was too pretty to make socks out of. So this was a Dune inspired colorway, and I think it was called a Crackers. I can't remember, something like that, but it's definitely Dune inspired. And I wanted to be able to wear it, so this pattern is called the Tip Top Tank, and it's a free pattern, and they have it for sock weight and DK weight, I think, for free. I added a little split hem, which I don't think was it in the pattern? Actually, it might have been in the pattern. I think it's in the pattern as well, like a little split hem. And it's just beautiful. I'm really happy with it. I haven't worn it yet because I haven't weaved in the ends, but I'll get there. and it's warm enough to wear it now, so that's really nice. This is the 4th tip top tank I've made. I lived in them all last summer, and I think I'm going to make another one. They're so lovely with just high-waisted trousers in it, or a skirt or over a dress, so I just love them. So yeah, that's that. The very bottom bit is a different yarn. It is a Ducky Darlings yarn, and I was just really scared that I wouldn't have enough, because I wanted it long enough to cover, you know, my belly button, but it's still fairly cropped. But I was just worried, and I had exactly the right amount. In fact, what you see hanging there at the bottom, sorry, at the top here, that's what was left. So the whole entire skein went into that, and I'm really proud of it. I signed up to Temporal Spin does do a monthly sign up where she invoices you and you can pay, but I think it's a rolling month. You don't have to buy every month if you don't want to. But alcohol free because it's lunchtime. So this one was, so I signed up for the monthly one, and I love our colours. I think they're brilliant. So this one is called Almost Choose, and I think it's based on the House of Dragons, which I haven't watched, but I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And this is again the silk sock, so it's 50/50 superwash merino and silk, and it's so soft and drapey. And this one is called Zombies, and it's a Minecraft based colour, so my 6-year-old is very excited and wants something out of that. So there's that. I was also knitting Temporal Spin yarn that I picked up. Where did I pick it up? Not Woolfest, because they don't do Woolfest anymore. Oh, was it the Newcastle yarn show? I think it might be in the Newcastle yarn show. I can't remember. Anyway, I'm knitting socks because I'm always knitting socks. Everybody always wants socks. So there's one that is finished, and I think this, what was this colour called? It wasn't based on, I can't pronounce it, it's in Welsh. It's Welsh wool, and it's, is that going to be backwards? It is, isn't it? I can't say that. Lulogifus. I think it's a wizard. Can't remember. Anyway, this is blue-faced Leicester, Welsh mule blue-faced Leicester, and it is my favourite sort of wool. It's got like a slight toothiness to it, but still super soft, and that is perfect for socks. These are going to be for me. There's like a tiny hint of pink just every now and again mixed in with the blue, and like just a teeny little pink blip. I don't think it's coming across, and I just think it's beautiful. So I've got one down, and I am currently knitting the heel. I like to knit socks on DPNs. DPN stands for double pointed needles. So you either use 4 or 5 needles, and it looks more complicated than it is because you're only ever knitting with 2. So you would take this needle and you would knit to the end of there, and then you would knit to the end of there and to there, and that's what makes it not a circle, like a tube, round and round and round and round. I hate magic loop. I think magic loops are awful and fiddly and creates ladders. I am a DPN girl forever and ever and ever. Amen. I love DPNs. So I knit these on the plane going down to Lawless after my 6-hour delay. Joy. And in Newcastle Airport, it's £15 for a glass of wine. Robbing bastards. So I'm knitting socks. I am still knitting the dress. I haven't knit on it for ages, but I'll show you how far I've got if I can. So the top of it is finished. This is the sort of bust line here that sits at your bust, and then I'm knitting forever. So it's coming along, but it is slow, and I've still got absolutely tons of this wool yarn, so I'm not worried. This is a wool and linen, no, it's a wool and cotton blend, so it feels kind of crunchy right now, but it'll soften up really nicely when it's washed. The wool is like a sort of grey colour, and then the cotton is the white, and it can be quite fluffy and blippy in places, and I think that looks really nice. I'm looking forward to wearing it, and I've still got quite a long way to go. I think I'm just probably at mid-thigh, and I want it to be floor length. It's really not feeling too heavy. One of the things I was really worried about is that it would be to fit, because I'm a plus size person, for it to fit me, that it would be too heavy and it would pull. I'm not worrying so much about that now. I think because I've done it at quite an open gauge, which means that you can see through, whereas my socks are really dense, so they're knitted at tight gauge, because you don't want them, you can't see through it, see. Nice tight gauge, which makes them hard wearing and long lasting, which is what you want for socks. You can't see anything through it, they're tight. This means that the socks will last a long time. Like, I've got socks that I knit 10 years ago, still in circulation, problem free, because you knit them nice and tight. But this is knit at an open gauge or a loose gauge, which means that you can see through it. Because I don't need it to be as hard wearing, it's not going to be rubbing against shoes or anything like that, and it does make it airy and cooler. And so I can either wear it with, like, my plan is to wear it with cycling shorts underneath and a vest, maybe, depending on what bra, too much information, or like in the winter I'll be able to wear it with leggings and a long sleeve top or something like that, in a big belt or something. Anyway, this one's been in the back belt for what's it called, the back burner for fuck's sake, for ages, because I got obsessed with something, and you'll see why in a second. I decided, because it was cold when I started, that I wanted to knit a blanket, and then I decided I didn't want to knit a blanket because I'm already knitting a blanket, and that one's got a bit stuck. Not for any other reason except for it's been knit out of leftovers of sock weight wool, and I was sort of like running out of colours to like think, so that's just going to sit there for a little while until I knit some more socks and I get a little bit more colours. So I wanted to knit another one, and then I thought, oh, I don't want to knit another blanket because I'm knitting a blanket right now. I'll crochet one, and I'm not a brilliant crocheter at all. I do basic stuff. I can do squares basically, but luckily, guess what a blanket is? So it is massive, and it is going to be for my bed, and all the little things are, it is massive, very wide, and ooh, look at all of that. Whoosh. And the special thing about this is literally all my hand spun. So this is all wool that I've spun on my goddamn spinning wheel or my goddamn spindles that I did with my own beautiful hands. I made the wool, I'm knitting the wool, and then I'm going to be nestling under it. All me and the sheep. Woohoo! Isn't it beautiful? This is so all of the wool in this is different breeds, it's different mixtures. It's going to be an absolute bell end to wash because they'll all react differently and do strange things. And do I care? I do not. I don't care. It weighs an absolute bastard ton. I can't wait till it's mine. And I think it's absolutely stunningly beautiful. I really do. I think it's gorgeous. I don't know if you can tell that I really like greens and blues, but I really like greens and blues and purples. So this has taken up almost all of my time because I haven't wanted to do anything else. It's wonderful working with my own hand spun. I have actually got my spin wheel out and spun some extras just to put it in this. I'm obsessed with my blanket. It was a pain in the arse to start because when you're knitting, when you cast on, there's loads of different ways to cast on to make different things happen. So when I cast on for the top of a sock, I use a stretchy cast on so that I'll show you this again. It's been very good for demonstrative purposes. It's stretchy, it stretches quite far out so that you can get it over your foot and on. And often if I'm casting on around a neck, I'll use a stretchy cast on as well, so you can pull it over your head and it's not going to cause a problem. I didn't need to do that with my vest because it's so open, so I didn't want a stretchy cast on for that, so it's a more stable one. So there's loads of different ways to cast on so that your cast on does something. So it's stretchy, or it's stable, or it's a lace cast on, or you can cast on so that you can set up to do knit and purl. Casting on and knitting is extremely exciting. There's so many options. It seems to me like casting on for crochets, you do a long chain, a long endless freaking chain, and it's very hard to have any control over the tension to allow it to have any stretch. And so when I started at the bottom here, so when I first started, I started with this colour, which is like a sort of sandy beigey colour, and as I got quite far into it, I realized that my slip stitch chain, so you do this chain and then you crochet into each of the loops, and then you're off. I just dropped my bowl of wool on the floor if you heard that thump. And it was too tight, and even though I tried to be super loose, I'm not a very experienced or good crocheter, and it was too tight, and it was like sort of pulling the blanket like in at the bottom, so it was a weird shape. And I thought, I looked up loads of ways to try and kind of unpick it, undo it and redo it, and like no, and then I found one video on how to do it. So all I did was I got to a point where I liked the how it looked, and then I ran a needle and I picked up all of the stitches going all the way across, which was way fiddly, and then I just cut off about this much, and I was hoping I'd be able to reuse the wool, but nah, it was trashed. It had to go in the bin, but I cut it off, and then I had them all on a needle, and then I crocheted down this much, and then I cast off. Do you call it casting off when it's crochet? I don't know. So that it's not, you can see it's not pulling at all now. It's totally flat and brilliant. And although that was a pain in the butt to do, I'm really glad that I took the time to do it, because I'm so in love with the blanket that it would have spoiled it if it hadn't been right. So that, like I say, has taken up all my time. It's really easy to work on when you're watching telly. I don't need to look at it too much. So, but if it's something really scary's on, I can look at it really intensely, so I don't get too scared. So it has taken all my time. Like I say, it's really nice. I have all these like little bits of hand spun where when I started spinning, I spun with a spindle, and so it would be quite small amounts of yarn produced, and then nothing to really do with that, and then sort of piled up all these little balls of yarn that I've thought, well, I'm not quite sure what to do with it because they're too thick for socks. So anyway, they've all gone into this blanket, all of it. Some of my really early hand spun that is really not very good. It's very thick and thin. You can't tell in the blanket, so it's gonna get loved and used, and I'm really, really, really pleased with it. So I think it is going to be another long term project, because I want it big enough to go on my bed, and we're not there. Although it's probably about a quarter the way there. It has been quite addictive, and I've been quite poorly, so it's been perfect to work on whilst being poorly. So that's it. I think that is absolutely everything I want to talk about. I am hoping to have some special guests on soon. I know I've said that in the past and it hasn't come about, but I'm hoping to do that. And hopefully I won't leave it so long next time, so I talk this amount, which isn't good for either of us really, I think. You still love us alright. Yeah. That's it. That's it. I think so. I'm trying to think if there's anything else nerdy that I've done or bought. I think that's it. That's it. So yes, I'll leave it there. If you've got any comments, please leave them below. Please do that like thing, because apparently it helps. I'm not very good at promoting this. I'm shit at it, but please do like it if you've watched it. I would really, really appreciate that, and I'll see you next time. Be good. Bye bye.